Hey guys, I'm Grestar, and how about we react to RWBY, Volume 2, Chapter 2, Welcome to Beacon. As with my other RWBY reactions, this video will only include me, so if you would like to watch the RWBY episode along with me, make sure to click here. It'll take you to the video in the RWBY playlist on the Rooster Teeth YouTube channel, and it's the one that I will be using, so for proper synchronization, you should use this instead of like Netflix or the DVD or something. Just open it in another window, another tab, or download it, and I will provide a timestamp in this corner so you can properly sync up. And yeah, so welcome to Beacon. We've already been in Beacon for a whole volume, but, you know, what does it mean? It seems like in the last episode they mentioned that it was the last day, and I wasn't sure if they meant the last day of the Vytal Festival or the last day of the school year. I feel like it was the last day of the school year. Either way, I'm disappointed because we didn't get to see the Vytal Festival tournament or any of the cultural festivities, which I was actually curious about that, you know? Especially in learning so much about the Faunus and all the, like, kind of racial tension between the Faunus and the normal humans. And, you know, especially with Blake, too, being so near and dear to my heart at this point, I wanted to see more of it. Also disappointed, though, if that was the end of the school year, because we only got to see, like, 3 class sessions. Like, 2 of them were in the classroom, with, like, the one dude who talked to Weiss about being cool with RWBY, and then the coffee dude, the super hyper one, and, you know, who kind of talked about Faunus. That was the one about Faunus, right? I believe so. And then the field trip to Forever Fall. Like, that's all we got to see of the school year. Was that much just really not important that we didn't get to see that much of the school year that now it's moving on to the next year? I don't know. But if it is moving on to the next year, then I guess Welcome to Beacon would make sense because now, you know, RWBY, Weiss, Blake, and Yang are no longer freshmen, but they get to move up to being sophomores, and so now there are new freshmen. There are greenies, you know, people who can actually be welcomed to Beacon. Or, if it's not a new school year, Welcome to Beacon could mean that someone sinister is visiting. Who knows exactly? But I am inclined to think that the last episode was about the last day of that school year, and that now this is a new school year, but I could be wrong, because it seems kind of weird to me to have the last day be in episode 1, and then episode 2 be a new year. Usually, from what I've experienced from, you know, like, watching certain shows or whatnot, another volume or season would start the next school year, if they're going to do it like that. So, kinda oddly timed, I would say, or oddly placed at least, but I don't know exactly what's gonna happen. It could be none of the things I've talked about. I suppose in the end, the best way to find this out would be to watch the episode itself, so with that said, let's get to watching. Alright guys, I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, play, and when I say play, hit play. Hopefully that'll help us out with synchronization. So, 3, 2, 1, play. Alright, so that was Rooster Teeth Comedy Gaming Community. So I'm trying to see if the lyrics match up better with the music. No, see, like, at this point, it just doesn't fit to me. It's like the music is going too fast with too many beats to actually match up with the lyrics. It's like that little segment that bothers me, because before the music kicks in, it's fine, and then at this point, it's more fine. Like, there is still some moments where I'm like, that could have been done a little bit better, but yeah. And this isn't anything to say about the girl singing, or her singing quality. Like, I'm jealous, I wish I could sing. But it's just the way that it's matched up with the music that has been bugging me a little bit. Anyway. Seeing all this combat, though, is really cool, and I wonder just how much of it will actually be, yeah, in the episodes. You know, like, will RWBY really fight Cinder? That's the only one that I can remember off the top of my head, but you know, things like that. So, I guess we'll see it in the future. Well? Yes, passing through the clouds. How delightful. And cold and wet. All that condensation, you know what I mean? Hmm. Oh. She doesn't seem to like him that much. So the Vytal Festival is still going on. Good. Just needs a bit of a spike, you know? Oh. But I don't. Say it straight. Ah. Good. Good man. Well, at this point, maybe not. They're not very disciplined, but, you know, given time, it's only... Hasn't... Yes. But it hasn't been that long, you know? So I'm glad the Vytal Festival isn't over yet. Like, that was a big disappointment for me. What is this? I thought they were playing, like, poker or something at first, but... Oh, snap! Uh-oh. So, you gotta roll. It's like a weird mix of Yu-Gi-Oh! And some other second thing. Hmm. What are Blake and Weiss doing, though? Okay. Oh. Oh, no. None of which she did herself. Oh, Yang. As she hugs her. She said Europe. Why is that so mean? Ozpin. Oh, Weiss. Oh, hey. Ren. Different. So, you know, Jean, you could jump in. Aw, poor Blake. In such an interrogation setting. Whoa. That's true. That's how they're talking. I think that's fair. It's bothering me how close to the edge that mug is. Blake Belladonna. Oh, he looked so concerned there at the end. Yeah, I was like, not lately. That was very dramatic. Well, she didn't fall, so. The police aren't that great. Yes. That's true. All of that is true. That's not what she said. Uh-oh. That was my face. Oh, hey. Welcome to Beacon. We don't recognize her? Yep. There's the title. Alright, time to roll credits. So let's just wait this out. I don't know, you know. Okay. It's still not the annotations part, of course, you know. Which is fair. In the meantime, I will look at how long this one is. Okay, got it. Alright. So that episode's over. This episode was 13 minutes and 29 seconds long, and now it is time to talk about it. So, I was wrong pretty much about everything that the Welcome to Beacon or This is the Last Day could mean, because the festival is still apparently going on and will be going on. So, the last day wasn't talking about that. And the last day wasn't seeming to talk about the last day of the school year, because, you know, it doesn't seem like any new people were welcomed aside from the Haven visitors, who aren't really visitors, of course. And, well, you know, it doesn't seem like they're actually starting a new year, so did they not mention the last day in the last episode? Was I missing? Like, did I mishear that? I might have completely misheard or misunderstood that, but hey, it doesn't seem like it's in, you know, a new school year. It definitely doesn't seem like it was the last day of the Vytal Festival. So we still have the Vytal Festival to look forward to, which I am looking forward to, because like I said, I was curious about the whole cultural, you know, acceptance, unification kind of part of it, and I do want to see the tournament. I think that the tournament will be really cool, especially if they do pair up, like, you know, Team RWBY against the visitors, like, you know, Cinder and Emerald and Quicksilver and all of that. Like, it could be cool. So, aside from that, just to talk about this episode, the board game was really fun to see them, you know, Yang and RWBY, of course, getting so super into it. I figured that, you know, since Yang was helping Weiss like that, the Yang would do something to just completely counteract it, because I don't see Yang as the type of person to actually ruin herself, you know? So, it was funny to see. And then Weiss, this episode surprised me a few times. Like, she got hyper, like she was having fun, you know? Like when she did, you know, play the board game. At first she wasn't into it, but then after after Yang, you know, helped her, she got super into it. And then, you know, she cried and held RWBY as they both cried together. And that was, like, it didn't seem too in character for her, but I think this is just where we're starting to get more of Weiss's development, where she is becoming less stiff, you know, as a character. And so I really appreciate that. Because later, too, we see, you know, when she's talking to Blake, you know, about how Blake is always leaving when she promised to instead talk to her team. Like, she went all super dramatic to the point of even getting on top of a chair. And I don't see the old Weiss as having been one to do that. So I think the Weiss is changing, and I do think that it's been for the better, you know? What was it? It was Weiss who mentioned it, right? About the blowing up nightclub, stopping thieves, and then saving the world or whatever. So I'm pretty sure that RWBY was the one, you know, RWBY stopped Beowulf, I think they were. I don't know, some sort of Grim was in her trailer. In Yang's trailer, you know, she fought at a nightclub and everything. And I don't know the story behind that. I just know that I never loved Yang from that. Like, I loved Yang's combat style, but I didn't love her from that trailer just because of her ball grabbing, like, and squeezing, and why would you do that? That's terrible. And then, you know, Blake's was, I guess, something about a train. She was working with someone, and she cut the train off at the end and then was going away. So, like, I don't remember too many details, because, like I said, I haven't seen them in forever, but that's what I do remember. I remember those vague little bits, so I assume that's what Weiss was referencing. And so apparently she knows about that. Did they all exchange stories, or was that, like, on their personal records? Like, no, it must not be, because then Blake would be... Everyone would know about Blake's association with the White Fang, so they just must have all opened up to each other off camera, right? Just trying to put those pieces together now. So I think the biggest thing for this episode, like, that it set up was that, you know, the RWBY team are going to work together to try to take down that criminal organization, even though they are just students, even without getting the headmaster's permission or even, like, consulting with the professor first. I think they're just gonna band together and go out and try to do it, because, like Blake said, they may never be ready, and they don't know what's coming. Like, they don't know when they would have to be ready for, and so they would rather just get a jump on it than let them get a jump. Or then let it, whatever's coming, get a jump on them. So, makes sense enough, you know, kind of surprised that Weiss was as willing as she was. Again, where, like, I didn't expect that from Weiss as a character, but I guess she is changing at this point. And, you know, whether it's been changing a little quickly is hard to say, because not as much time passed from the end of Volume 1 to the beginning of Volume 2 as I had thought. So it does seem a little bit fast maybe, but I'm also cool with it because I like this Weiss better, you know, so far. But, yeah. So they're gonna work together, and then the other thing it set up was the fact that Cinder, Emerald, and Quicksilver, excuse me, have already, like, infiltrated Beacon, you know, under the guise of being exchange students kind of thing. And I wonder then, did they come with the general? I forget his name. But General something, you know, and if that is the case, if they did come with him, does the general know about that? And then, you know, is the general in on it? Because if he were in on it, that could be super bad because he's infiltrated with, you know, some 3 very powerful people and an army, essentially. A small army, granted, but an army nonetheless, you know? Like, the 100 or so soldiers, you know, if they were trying to, like, take over Beacon Academy, that would be a way to do it, you know, once you get all your forces already in, and you don't give the enemy, you know, being Beacon and Ozpin and all of the students, any time to, you know, to prepare, that's pretty bad. So I'm hoping at this point that the general is unaware, and it's really just Cinder, Emerald, and Quicksilver who are in on it, but the possibility remains, I think, that the general and his forces could also be in on the whole thing too. I don't know. So what I'm most looking forward to seeing next is, you know, more character interaction and development, of course, is always fun, but I really do want to see more of the Vytal Festival. Well, we really haven't seen the Vytal Festival at all yet, so I do want to see some of the cultural stuff, and I definitely want to see the tournament. So here's to hoping that that is still in the future, and I think that I have nothing else to say. So at this point, let me know what you guys thought about this episode in the comments below. Again, do not spoil anything, so you can talk about this episode and everything before it, but do not talk about anything after it, or I will be upset with you. So yes, let me know what you guys thought about this in the comments below, and with that, we're calling it here. Cue outro, go!